Proud to be a nurse. How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Anne Frank. I just saw another television show where the nurse was portrayed as an overly sexed bimbo. It's obvious the image of the nursing profession still needs some good public relations. Once in a while, we have an unexpected opportunity to educate the public to what nursing is all about. My chance came on a warm Saturday morning when I had a coveted weekend off from my job in a long-term care facility. My husband and I headed for the Cubs ballpark via the train. Just as the train arrived at the final station, the conductor curtly shouted for all the passengers to immediately leave the car. He hustled us toward the door. On the way, I glimpsed some people huddled around a man lying limply in his seat. The conductor talked excitedly into his walkie-talkie. I heard fragments of "emergency" and "ambulance." Surprising myself, I approached him and said, "I'm a nurse. Could I be of any help?" "I don't need a nurse," he rudely snapped back, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "I need a medic." His public put-down to nurses was a punch in the stomach. I was incensed. My adrenaline kicked in, and I abruptly elbowed my way through the crowd, past the insulting conductor, and back on the train. 3 men were standing like statues, staring at the young man crumpled over in the seat. His face was the color of a ripe plum. Fortunately, the ABCs of cardiopulmonary resuscitation clicked into my brain. The man was obviously obstructing his own airway. I was relieved to find a pulse. "He had a seizure," one man offered. "Help me sit him up," I instructed the bystanders as I loosened his collar and tie. We hoisted him to an upright position, and I quickly did a jaw thrust and tilted his head to the side. Mucus and blood oozed out. With a wadded tissue from my pocket, I cleared more thick mucus from his mouth and throat. A thump on the shoulder caused him to take a big breath of air. Within seconds, his color changed to pink, and his eyes opened. His tongue was bruised and cut from biting it, but he was breathing well. I heard the ambulance sirens in the background. Shaking now, I returned to my husband, praying that the man didn't have AIDS, and searching for something to wipe my sticky hands on. "Hey, you did a good job," one of the men who had been a bystander called to me. "Thanks," I replied with a pleased smile as I stared directly at the conductor, who still clutched his walkie-talkie and looked surprised. He stammered, I guess the nurse is what I needed after all." Triumphantly, I marched off, hoping at least one person had a new insight into the capabilities of the nursing profession, because at that moment, I was especially proud to be a nurse. By Barbara A. Brady.